And welcome back to Chicago Bulls Insider. Today we are talking about a sleeper pick in this upcoming NBA draft that the Chicago Bulls certainly should take a look at. So before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Modest Mazzella slam dunks in games. In exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. So make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so, with that being said, we are looking at a sleeper pick in this upcoming NBA draft, and we are looking at Maxime Raynaud out of Stanford. And so, he did play for the French national team as well. And so, this is a talented player. And so, he is 7'1, 245 pounds. And I must say that he looks like certainly a polished player ready to go in the NBA. And so, let's go ahead and let's jump into his numbers, and then we'll start to look at the things that he does well, the things he needs to work on. And so let's start with the numbers. And so you see all 4 years spent at Stanford. And what I like about his numbers is you see a player that got progressively better, because when you look at the scoring, you see he went from 4.5 points up to 20.2 points. That's huge. The turnovers, we'll talk about that in a minute. He had 2.4 turnovers that he averaged there. Then when you look at the block shots, 1.4 block shots, 1.7 with the assist, 77% from the free throw line, 34.7 from three. He shot 42.3 his freshman year. And then when you look at his field goal percentage, 46.7, he did shoot 54.1 his freshman year. And so, look, this is a guy that definitely has shooting touch. And let's go ahead and jump into point one with him and why he is certainly a player that you want to take a look at. Because when you're talking about this shooting touch, went on to his Yahoo draft profile, and it says that he made 37.4 of his catch and shoot threes per the Yahoo article. And that's per Synergy where they got that from. And so this is a player that can definitely knock down catch and shoots. When you look at his highlights, you can see a player that's even more dynamic. He also was featured in a way where he was coming off screens and things like that. So he is certainly pretty smooth for a big man, which leads me to the next point. He has a solid handle. I mean, to be that tall at 7'1", he is not afraid to handle the ball. He is the type of guy that if he gets a steal, he will take it down and he will absolutely dunk that thing. Doesn't need an outlet to get there. So he has some very good handles for a center. And so that is point number two with him. Next, I love the way that he can score. Not only can he get you from the three-point line, terrific with his back to the basket. He can score with either hand, so he's comfortable scoring with his right and his left. He's comfortable with hook shots over his right or his left shoulder. I think he has some solid footwork here. You can tell that this is a player that just really worked on his craft, which we're going to talk about that in a moment. But fundamentally sound, you are definitely getting that with Raynaud. Next up with him, I love the fact that he is the type of player that once he gets the rebounds, he is going to get it to his guards and allow them to get into the break. That would be huge. You know, just saying if the Chicago Bulls were to somehow draft him, you think about that with Giddey, with Coby White, with whoever's playing guard, even Lonzo, if he's back and they don't trade him or whatnot, getting the basketball to those guys so they can make the decisions, that helps our offense. That goes into what the Chicago Bulls would want to do as far as playing fast. And so I like that basketball IQ for a center. He's not just trying to dribble it down. He's going to immediately get it to his outlets. He understands that. Next up, terrific screener. I think that if you look at the highlights, you will see a player that knows how to use his size. Terrific at going up and screening, using his size and creating space for the dribbler. And also, too, it's perfect to get into the pick and rolls and things like that. So his understanding of how to use his body in the screen, that's something that immediately translates from day one when you're opening up space for the offense as a screener. So I love that. Next with him, I thought he was a solid passer. I think that he has some good touch. You will see the turnovers. I think sometimes he gets a little bit too much into the flair, but he definitely has it. So he does have some passing touch. This is something he would have to work on, with 2.4 turnovers a game. That's a bit too much, with what he's trying to do out of the post and stuff like that. I think he needs to make it a bit more simple, but he definitely has shown that he can definitely find you and things like that and make the reads. It's all about taking less risk, I think, with him. And so he can be a very good passer, even though the turnovers are there. Next up with him, I think he's terrific at the top of the key. I think he's excellent in your dribble handoffs. I think he can be a hub for you at the top of the key. I think he can be a connector player. He has a terrific feel. He's comfortable facing up. He has a great catch radius, and so his hands are terrific. I could see that if, for instance, if Josh Giddey is coming down and he wants to throw a no-look behind his head, you can trust that Raynaud is going to come up with the catch. I think that he has the type of hands and the awareness to not let you get into a turnover. So I like that about him. And I love his motor. I think he competes his tail off. I think that really that's what his career has been about, which is competing with a high motor. Because looked at an interview for him, late bloomer, didn't start playing until middle school, got over to Stanford, fought his way onto the team. And he talks about starting in the morning with track workouts and how that was going to help him as far as his mobility and everything else. Like this kid, if you listen to him in the interviews, you love what you're hearing. Very mature guy that he was fine with starting in the morning, with not touching a basketball, hitting the track. You love that work ethic. You can see that motor translates to when he's playing. Next, I love the fact that when you listen to him talk about recovery, film study, getting to the gym, working the extra stuff that you need to as a basketball player, like this guy may not necessarily have all the physical traits that you would want as far as athleticism, but he's going to make it up in work ethic. And he's the type of guy that you just love to have in your building. He's probably going to look at the attentions, the details, and he wants to go out there and compete. And so I love that about him. Lastly, you love the fact that he put work into himself, gained 30 pounds once he got there from his freshman year. So putting in the work to get the muscle and everything else. So defensively, he does play defense. I think he's going to be a guy that can get into the drop coverage, uses his length well. I think the issue there is he's got to get a little bit more faster, lateral quickness. I like the fact that he's already willing to do track workouts, speed ladders, stuff like that. I think that could probably open up his stride gate, just telling you as a runner that I think that that's something that would help him with his quickness and things like that. He's definitely a guy that seems like he wants to get there. That's why I love that. So I think he's got to get better there. And I think what you worry about is he's an older prospect. He's been in college for 4 seasons, and you wonder, is there any more left as far as untapped potential? But I think if you're looking for a center that is going to be a solid role player right now and a rotational piece, I would take Raynaud. Now, here's the deal. With the Chicago Bulls, they're picking at 12. He's slated to go lower than that. It'd be too high to take him. The question would be, would AK consider maybe getting back into the first round to possibly get him if he's there? Or would you consider moving up in the second round to get him? That would be the question. I think that that's where it's at, because where the Bulls are picking at, it's a little bit too much to go get him. But if you're thinking that you want to get back in and be aggressive to go out there and get him, this could be a steal for AK if he decides to do that. This is going to give you some front court help. It would give you a guy that can stretch the floor. This is a guy that instantly kind of comes in. He can take care of business. I think he's mature. He's ready to go. He's already saying the things that Billy Donovan talks about with rest and, recovery and film. That's some of these things are the things that he was talking about with Modest Mazelis. And so with Raynaud, he certainly gets it already. And so this is a guy that's ready to go. And instantly, when I look at player comparisons here for him, I think of a guy like Quentin Post, who immediately came in year one, was ready to go for the Golden State Warriors. I think his role gets even better here in year 2 if they're going to go ahead and invest into putting some more minutes out there. Was it great all the time? Absolutely not. But he did have to come in and start sometimes, and he was just fine, knocking down some three-point shots. In fact, he crushed us in the game that he played against us. And so he reminds me of a Quentin Post. Another comparison that I could also see would be a Brook Lopez, but I think more mobile than Brook Lopez. I think that he has more just mobility as a defender, and I also think he has more mobility as an offensive player as well. And so a mix between those two players. I certainly like Raynaud. I think he's definitely, a sleeper pick. I think he's a player that, look, if I'm going to bet on a player to come in and be ready to go, I'm betting on him. I think he could definitely get it done. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys think. Would you like the Bulls to possibly get back into the first round, maybe go out there and get Raynaud, or maybe trade up in the second round somehow to go get him if he's still on the board? Do you think that AK is going to make an NBA draft trade that would put the Bulls into such an aggressive move? That's the question. Will AK be aggressive, or is he going to sit back and let things happen to him? We'll find out. You guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Bulls, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.